Right, so let's discuss our next film. It is Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is a film directed by Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan, famous director. You all know him, director of the Batman films,
Mhm.
Prestige, Interstellar, Inception. One of the biggest names in directing right now. He's one of the very few names probably in Hollywood right now, director-wise, that can sell a movie, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, he's definitely the only one that is that's able to sell a completely original R-rated film, or at least an original concept, just off the strength of his name. Maybe him and Jordan Peele.
Yeah. So it's a very, very few directors I think can do that today. So in his latest feature film, it is Oppenheimer, which is about the story of scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer. People might know him. He helped, was a big help in the development of the atomic bomb, led the program on it. And it's about his life. It's about the development of the atomic bomb, and also a lot of about his political persecution, which I didn't expect the movie to be about that much. I just thought it would really just kind of focus on the atomic bomb and, the dropping of it and the ramifications of it, and then how he felt afterwards about that. I thought that, and that's in here too.
Yeah, you get that, but you also get this very intense, almost political courtroom drama thriller.
Yeah. That also is that, like I said, the ramifications of him after he did drop it is also there, but a lot of it is also this kind of courtroom drama, as Nick said, and kind of this little bit mystery there about, people who are, going against Oppenheimer, because a large focus in this movie also is about his political affiliations. Oppenheimer had a lot of people close to him that was a part of the Communist Party. He himself was never a member, as his movie stating. If I'm going to take this movie's word, he himself was never a member of the Communist Party, but he had a lot of people that he knew. His brother was part of the Communist.
Yeah, a lot of friends. His brother was his lover, who in this is Jean Tatlock, played by Florence Pugh.
Yeah. And speaking of like Florence Pugh, stat cast that we got here. Huge. A lot of huge cast.
Basically, if you're white and in Hollywood, you're in this movie.
Cillian Murphy, who's playing the titular character of Oppenheimer. You have Emily Blunt, who's playing his wife. You have Matt Damon. You have Robert Downey Jr. You have Alden Ehrenreich. You have Jason Clarke. You have also Rami Malek is in this. Kenneth Branagh is in this. Huge stat cast of a lot of really great talent is in this movie that kind of makes up this. So that also makes it really great in this 3-hour film. And it being 3 hours, we talk about 3-hour movies.
Oh yeah.
The length. Is it worth it? Is it an annoyance to sit through a 3-hour movie? And we talked about this when Chris Ayers was on here when we did a review for Beau is Afraid, which was the Ari Aster film. And I think it just depends on how you use those 3 hours. I didn't like Beau is Afraid, not just because it was a 3-hour movie, because I just don't think you utilize those 3 hours very well. And it feels like you're repeating a lot of the same things. Here in this 3-hour movie, this movie has momentum. It's got, a good kind of mystery that gets unraveled at the end of, figuring out kind of what's happening to Oppenheimer. And when you see that big reveal that happens, it is kind of like, oh shit moment, and I think, and that's very exciting to watch.
Yeah, this is a movie, and this is a 3-hour long movie, and it's essentially just people sitting in a room talking for most of it. But the dialogue here, it's so sharply written, and Nolan is getting career best performances out of basically everyone in this cast.
Yeah. Especially Robert Downey Jr., who we talked about with Ryan Gosling with Barbie. He's getting a lot of attention in this with Oppenheimer, best supporting actor. A lot of people loved him in this. Robert Downey Jr. said this is his, probably the best movie he's ever been in. I would say Iron Man 2 would probably be that, but no, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Not Iron Man 2.
Come on. The real answer is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, Kiss Kiss Bang, which amazing film. So Robert Downey Jr.'s had an amazing career, a lot of great movies in his filmography. But he said that this is one of the best movies that he's ever been a part of, and I can see why. I think it is an amazing film that has a lot of great moments in it, has good momentum to it, has great performances in it from everybody in the cast that I think work out very well. And like I said, it's not just about the development of the atomic bomb. I think he focused maybe a little less on that because everybody knows, like, okay, yeah, the atomic bomb, it happened, it was dropped, everything like that. I think most people know that, but about this man's life, about, and it doesn't follow in the traditional biopic kind of format
No,
where,
this is a Christopher Nolan film. He's basically made his name off of playing with the 3-act structure in film, off
yeah,
of Memento. And here it is told non-linearly. You're getting flashbacks, flash forwards. The color of the film is like certain segments of it are in color, entire sequences are in black and white, depending on what point of view the story is being told from.
yeah. And the device he kind of uses in order to kind of jump around in his life, because we mentioned that, it's kind of this courtroom drama. Oppenheimer's going through a hearing, and not a trial, but just a hearing about his security clearance, about his loyalties to America. You know what I mean? Because of his affiliations with the Communist Party, can he be trusted as a person, with national security, and because he has these close affiliations with communists. And you see him, organizing, trying to start unions, like when he was a professor, with other professors, trying to, unite with other like dock workers and other kind of people like that. So yeah, so he kind of uses that device of him going through this hearing in order to, because they're just picking apart his life, especially Jason Clarke, who's like the main aggressor in that whole kind of hearing. Well, he's just kind of going through, it's like, what happened this day? What did you do this time? You spent the night with this person, why is that? And you see this guy, he was followed and tracked throughout time in his life. His movement was just being watched by the FBI at various moments. So you kind of see all this kind of pressure that he was under, and all the kind of the complication in his life that kind of led to that point. So I thought, so that's kind of the vehicle and device used to kind of jump through all these different periods of his life, which I thought was really nice. Also, a lot of people are talking about Matt Damon in this, who's also, I think, really great in this for Best Supporting.
Yeah, nobody likes to crap on Matt Damon more than I do, because I think the guy is, say what you will about him as a person, but he is a solid actor. And I think whenever he is given a chance to be a supporting player, I think he really shines. And especially between this and Air, I think he's having a solid year.
Yeah. A strong year for Matt Damon with this. And it's funny, I think I saw a story that he said that he's probably going to retire from acting for a bit. He told his wife, like, yeah, maybe retire for a bit unless I get a call from Christopher Nolan. And then he got a call from Christopher Nolan to come and do Oppenheimer. I think, yeah, he is really great in this. Just as everybody is. Works really well. But Cillian Murphy probably is in the lead right now for Best Actor for me.
Oh, absolutely. Because there is so much to his performance. And, so much, even just little ticks in his facial expression as, he's hearing about the effects of the bomb that he created. And he has to put on the brave face and be patriotism is like, we won the war. And you can see all of it going through his head as he's trying to give this speech. And Nolan does this really interesting tactic where sound drops out. And all you're left with is this just like metronomic pulse that's going through Oppenheimer's head.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the technique that he does like that, where the sound kind of drops up. It's kind of like this blinding, kind of light, and then the noise kind of goes away. It intensifies, and you kind of feel that, you kind of get that, Oppenheimer's POV there. But it's very interesting what they do, like Cillian Murphy, because, you have to do all this complexity, with this role of being kind of this tortured genius, which, can be overdone, but I don't think he does that. That's a role that can be kind of a little overdone, but I think he does it perfectly and plays it really, really well. That is fantastic to watch. And I think Nolan, what he does with his direction here is some of the best he's done in a long time. I think a lot of the choices here,
yeah.
A lot of the kind of looks here, a lot of the stuff they do, even when he's like discussing things, discussing the science of it, you see, kind of like these explosions, you see, kind of these atoms kind of going around, you see all this kind of stuff, in the movie that's played into it, that I think are very effective here as well. When speaking about some of the other characters here, like Emily Blunt, who's in this movie, who I also think does a fantastic job in this. This is a tough role. Christopher Nolan didn't kill a wife and mother this time. He didn't do that in this movie. So he avoided that. So in a role like this, it's like, what are you going to give the wife to do?
Mhm.
What are the, is she going to be the put upon wife that has to deal with all her husband's shit and everything like that, and just be a barefoot and pregnant kind of, mother and wife? But in this, she has her, complexities of her own. She also is a very smart woman in her own right, as you
Mhm.
see, and she has a really great scene in the hearing scene when she's being cross-examined by Jason Clarke that I think is really, really great.
Oh, her sassing him is so much fun to watch, and I think Nolan, he kind of has this reputation of being a director that is very self serious. He's got a guy that is kind of humorless, and you kind of forget how funny the guy can actually be, especially in scenes like that with Emily Blunt.
Yeah. Which I thought was one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I actually love that scene. I thought that scene was great. I thought she played it really well.
Had to fight
Yeah.
the urge to scream "mother."
Yeah. So I thought that was really, really good there. So great on her for that scene. Florence Pugh, great stuff with her. Even though she's not in the movie a whole lot, but a lot of great stuff with her there.
Yeah,
In the
yeah, my one criticism with her and her character, it feels like her character has more of an impact whenever she's not on screen.
when
And I'm not saying that as taking an issue with that as a part of her performance, because she is fantastic in this, especially playing off of Cillian Murphy. I just wish we got to see more of her.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that a little bit. Yeah, I do. Yeah. So some of the controversy about this movie is that they didn't show Hiroshima, they didn't show Nagasaki, they didn't show actual Japanese people in there. Do you think that it is important that they should have showed Japan, not even just like during the atomic bomb, but just as people in general? Do you think they should have done that?
It's an interesting question to think of, because I think the movie, it's not meant to be like torture porn or anything. Because I think even adding scenes like seeing the bomb being dropped, seeing the effects of it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I feel like it wouldn't add anything that the film already doesn't do. Because I feel like those scenes with Cillian Murphy, where he's giving the speech, where throughout the second and third act, where he's hearing about the devastation that his weapon caused, I feel like you get that impact just as well.
Yeah. Like, there's a scene where he kind of steps inside a corpse, a body, and it's like a charred body and everything like that. And he's seeing, kind of what the bomb did to people, just through his own imagination. I think those were effective. And you don't even see the Nazis. You don't see any German people at all in this either.
Yeah, and it's kind of hilarious, because that's one of the bigger conflicts. It's like, as the people on the Manhattan Project are developing the bomb, it's like by the time they get to actually testing it, Germany's already surrendered. Like, Hitler's dead. It's like the whole reason that Oppenheimer started this crusade was because he was a Jewish man, and he wanted to help fight the Nazis.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of, that mission kind of goes away there. So it's, develop another thing. And then it comes like, the question of like, should we bomb Japan? Should we not bomb Japan? And then, we could speak all day about the great scenes in the movie. Another great scene in here is when they go and speak to the Secretary of War, who's played by, I forgot that actor's name. He was
James Remar.
James Remar, who has a great moment here about they're trying to pick the target in which, they should drop the bomb. He says, "Oh, I don't want to drop it here in Kyoto because, well, me and my wife, we vacation there,
we honeymoon there."
Yeah, we honeymoon there. And some people point out like that is just the scene that encapsulates like, the imperialism, right? You know what I mean? This kind of, picking and choosing all these, tens of thousands of lives to choose. Like, I'm not gonna pick here because, well, that would hurt me if I do that, right? So let's just kill all these other people in this other location here. So yeah, I thought that was an amazing scene there. As far as whether you think this movie's going to do enough for you, about the person of Oppenheimer, and whether or not he had this big conflict, and what I mean, and making this weapon, and then being part of it, and then being responsible for all these lives, and whether he really was broken up about it, conflict about it, and you're like, well, he still did it, so I don't really care. Then maybe it probably won't be something for you.
And And it's interesting you say that, because I feel like this movie isn't necessarily glorifying Oppenheimer. I feel like this movie, more than a lot of these sorts of biopics about these complicated figures throughout history, I feel like this one, it is taking a more nuanced look at the man himself rather than just glorifying any of his actions. It's a man who arguably will be responsible for the end of the world, and you're actually meant to feel that, and you're seeing how that weighs on a person.
Yeah. So you don't think this movie portrays him as neither hero nor villain?
No, I think this portrays him as who he was, a scientist who wanted to do right by the world, but the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah. And it's helped, but it's played by an actor like Cillian Murphy, who can he can have that look on his face, like this very haunting, kind of look that he has, just naturally, I think. So it kind of helps us played by an actor like that. This is the first time that Cillian Murphy has ever led a Nolan film. He's been in a bunch of Nolan films. It's the first time he's ever been the lead.
Yeah, I think he's like their 7th time working together.
Yeah. It's the first time he's ever been the lead of it. And, speaking of people working with Nolan, because you got all kind of a lot of his returning favorites in here that he's worked with before. Also, Josh Hartnett, who was supposed to be in Batman Begins. He was supposed to be Batman.
He was one of the favorites to get that role.
Yeah, I think he turned it down. He turned down that role. So it's good to see Josh Hartnett back in stuff again. This and then Black Mirror. And he does a very good job here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like he's retired. It's just most of the stuff that he's been in we haven't seen.
Yeah. So it's popping up a little bit more stuff. Yeah. Strong movie. Very strong movie. Incredible cast. I don't think the 3 hours, I thought it moved at a good pace for me. I don't think felt like it just dragged on. This isn't to me something like, but hey, everybody's different sometimes 3 hour movies. I think this is worth the 3 hours and a lot of stuff that is discusses. I don't think it's something like Beau is Afraid where I'm like, okay, man, you're saying the same thing like 10 different times. So I think you can cut this a little short here.
Yeah. For me, it's like, if you have 3 hours, make damn sure you use that time, because I was gripped the entire time in my seat watching this movie, even after the bomb is tested. And it's this incredible scene where Nolan plays with sound. The light is just so blinding, and it's almost this triumphant moment when you look at it from the scientist's perspective. And, that is basically the inciting incident for the entire rest of the third act.
Yeah. Do you think in the movie, they kind of build up other people's terribleness in order to kind of make Oppenheimer look a little bit better? Like, compared to like Matt Damon, Benny Safdie, Robert Downey Jr., they kind of play up them a little bit more as being kind of, play up their awfulness a little bit more, you think?
I think most of that is owed to perspective, because in a majority of those scenes, we are seeing it from Oppenheimer's perspective. With Robert Downey Jr., I thought his character, he wasn't necessarily played up to be a villain. He was just played up to be a politician. A career politician.
Yeah. So, my rating for Oppenheimer, I'm going to give it peak. I think it's definitely peak for Oppenheimer. What about you? Final thoughts on rating?
You know what? Fuck it. I'm giving this movie, this is cinema. I was absolutely gripped by this for the entire 3 hours. You're getting a director like Nolan, who is giving us career best performances out of every single member of this cast. I know we haven't talked about Alden Ehrenreich here, but he's on screen for like maybe a total of 20 minutes in this, and he gives some of the best has one of the best performances in the film, especially because he's playing off of Robert Downey Jr. The sound design, the production on this is absolutely stunning. It feels like we haven't gotten a film like this in a very long time. One that is very large in scale and huge in the implications that it has, especially when it comes to history. But it just feels like a grown up, very classy kind of movie that we don't get that often.
So peak, and this is cinema for Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer.